I've been on school boards. I've been on nonprofit boards to deal with inclusion. I was on the Pennsylvania Art Board. So I understand what you're doing with the JEDI. However, I disagree with it because I don't believe it is part of a school district's job to educate children about things that are religious, and that's what this is. And it is also something that isn't appropriate because that's what parents are supposed to do. Your job is to educate, and we're not doing the best job we can as a school board and as a school district. We can always achieve more in education, and I believe in education. I didn't get to where I am without it. The agenda, JEDI, okay, it's nice. I like Star Wars too. But at the end of the day, it's political indoctrination that comes from a small but loud NGO, which has no place in a school district. It may be fine for colleges to take on these political controversies and agendas, but it's not the role of a public school district to promote any political agenda or any position of an NGO, especially when it borders on religious or non-religious indoctrination and not education. Money and resources should be spent on education and security, and not something can easily put into the phrase, treat others the way you want to be treated. Civility and manners are one thing, but the purpose of the school district is to educate, which I believe the school district is currently failing at. For example, my 9th grader and his friends were in my truck. We were going to the movies the other day, and I asked them what they were doing in English. They told me they were writing essays on civil rights leaders. I thought that was something for social studies and not English, where you're supposed to study classic literature and other things to that nature, which they never seem to do. But the 4 kids that I asked, what were you writing on, said Malcolm X. Okay, I said, that was a surprise. I said, why? The answer was, because that's the most readily available information on the internet. That's a good 9th grade answer. They're trying to do the least amount of work. Cost-benefit analysis. I was kind of proud of that, but as a lawyer. But I said, well, aren't there anybody else? And they're like, they didn't want to say anything. I said, well, do you know who Frederick Douglass was? And they didn't even know who Frederick Douglass was. Okay, he came to Carlisle. And he's a huge civil rights leader. I'm not done. I asked if they knew anyone else that was a civil rights leader, and they only knew Martin Luther King and Rosa Parks.
No, he can keep going. He can have my 3 minutes. I second that.
So they knew who Rosa Parks was. That was it. That's sad. I asked if they read the U.S. Constitution or the Pennsylvania Constitution. The answer is no. I asked what the significance of Gettysburg was, the Civil War, and the abolitionists in our own community that were part of the Underground Railroad. Nothing but blank stares. When I hire employees, I want them to be able to critically think, to treat others civilly, but above all, to be able to write and analyze. I do not want indoctrinated people, but free thinkers. I found high school graduates cannot do that. They cannot hold conversations about anything that they do not retain knowledge. They just look up on the computer. They lack any sense of real knowledge, let alone understanding. They can tell me all about global climate change and whatever the latest political controversy is, but they can neither tell me their reasoning nor logically argue it. They cannot write business letters. I could go on, and I wrote this all to you. But the other major point that I wanted to tell you is our children get bullied in this school by teachers, and this is where I'm really angry. I'm this close to filing a lawsuit, okay? This close for 1983 action, all right? And some of you know what that is because I saw your bios, all right? My son comes home and tells me that if he thinks that there's 2 genders, what biological science says, if he says that and makes any arguments, he's attacked by his fellow students, which is accepted and tolerated and allowed by the teachers and administrations. And I have a big problem with that. This does not belong here. This creates a controversy that we don't need. This JEDI stuff does 2 things. It makes people spiteful, and they're going to do it just to get you back. And number 2, it creates and puts people into categories. okay? I don't raise my children to look at people in categories. And the last thing is, when I was in college, we did something like this. It was called an honor pledge, okay? And they put an honor code at Elizabethtown College, and they talked all about honor. The people that made upset were people that actually had honor, like myself when I was in the United States Navy, and good for you. Go Navy, okay? Because it changed my life. But I'm here to tell you, that honor code didn't do anything, and it didn't make our school better. Education is what makes our schools better, getting better prepared students, and that should be the focus of our money and his work.